Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and Restless official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. As Heather got dressed, she thought back on the night of passion she had just shared with Daniel. Daniel entered the room, and things were a bit awkward. Daniel asked, "What happens now?" To which Heather replied, "What do you want to happen?" Heather told Daniel that she would love to know how he felt, since they'd just made love, and what that had meant to him. Daniel admitted he had made mistakes in Savannah and that he'd made himself forget everything he had lost. Heather assured Daniel she was all about the present and the future. Daniel said that Lily deserved better from him. Heather reminded Daniel that he had stated that he wasn't yet in love with Lily. Daniel told Heather that he respected Heather's honesty in having told him exactly what she wanted. "It's me. I'm having a hard time respecting myself right now," Daniel confessed. Heather continued to plead her case. "We have years of love between us. We have a child. We need to see if we have a chance," Heather said to Daniel. She asked Daniel if what he had with Lily compared to what he had shared and could share again with her. Heather told Daniel that she felt as close to him as ever and that it was lovely. Daniel could not deny it had felt good to him, too, but he added that he'd never even let himself think about him and Heather being together again. Heather said it was impossible for her to be around Daniel without wanting to be with him. Daniel joked that he was no longer a jerk. Heather told Daniel she found him so tolerable that she would allow him to buy her a late lunch, no strings attached. At Devon's office, Abby asked Devon if there was any chance he could hire her or add her to the board of directors at Chancellor Winters, as she'd suggested, in order to help protect the company from Tucker McCall. Devon told Abby he'd also been thinking about her joining Chancellor Winters. Devon asserted that Abby would bring a lot to the company, beyond another line of defense against Tucker, and that included good business advice and honesty as well as the ability to tell Devon when he was wrong about something. Abby told Devon it would be an honor for her to contribute to what would become their son's legacy. Devon told Abby that he wanted to recommend she be added to the board of directors, and he wanted to have a solid plan on paper before submitting the idea to Lily, Jill, and Billy. Devon invited Abby to lunch. Jack and Nikki arrived at the Abbott home. Nikki admitted to having had a couple of drinks, then asked Jack to take her to an AA meeting. "Absolutely," Jack agreed, but he said that they needed to call Victor first. Nikki objected. No, don't do that," she pleaded to Jack. Jack asked Nikki why she didn't want Victor to know what had happened. Nikki called her slip-up as minor as these things can be. Jack agreed that Nikki having stopped herself and having asked for help was progress, but he said that keeping Victor in the dark would involve lies, cover-ups, and sweeping problems under the rug, all of which were the things that kept addicts as addicts. Nikki told Jack that Victor's constant checking up on her was driving her crazy. Jack remarked that it also made it harder for Nikki to sneak a drink. "It makes me feel claustrophobic and ashamed," Nikki replied. She told Jack that she hated the fact that, after so many years, her sobriety was still an issue. Nikki told Jack that Victor had suggested a getaway for Nikki and himself. Jack said a new environment might lead to a new perspective, but Nikki admitted she would just be taking her addiction with her. Nikki told Jack that her meetings and support were in Genoa City. Jack reminded Nikki that she needed a new sponsor and that Victor wouldn't begrudge her that. Nikki responded, "But he wouldn't want it to be you." Nikki told Jack that she didn't want to start from scratch with a new sponsor, since that would require her to tell her story all over again and develop trust with a new person. "No, Jack. I need you to pull me out of this nightmare," Nikki insisted. Jack expressed gratitude for the faith Nikki was putting in him. She asked if he could have faith that she knew how it all had to happen, and that they had to be sure Victor never found out, but Jack was skeptical. "I'll just tell him I found a different sponsor," Nikki said. "Oh, good. We'll just compound the lie." "Deceit is part of the disease," Jack reminded Nikki. Nikki told Jack that finding a new sponsor would be too stressful for her, so Jack agreed to play it her way for now. Jack told Nikki that he knew someone had forced alcohol on Nikki, but he didn't know all the details. Nikki explained that some of the ordeal had been so horrific that she had decided to spare Lauren many of the details. Nikki told Jack about the newest member of the Newman family, along with the specifics about everything that had happened in Oregon. She talked about the experience of being subjected to an IV vodka drip, and how, once she'd recognized what had been happening, she'd understood that Jordan had known exactly what she'd been doing. Jack recalled the pain he'd witnessed when Victoria and Cole had mourned what they had believed to be the death of their child. Jack observed that it might take years to undo the damage to Claire's psyche and that it would be harder for Nikki to do all this while she also struggled with her own recovery. "I will be with you every step of the way," Jack assured Nikki. Nikki told Jack about having gone to the hospital to see Claire in order to be alone with her, not knowing in advance if she would feel pity or rage or whether she would believe Claire's claims about wanting to get better. Jack asked about Nikki's takeaway from the visit. Nikki compared Claire to someone who had been hypnotized and fed lies her entire life that Victoria and Cole had abandoned her and that the Newman family had rejected her. Referring to Jordan, Nikki said, "She is evil incarnate." Jack found it hopeful that Nikki was empathizing with Claire. Nikki supposed that there could be forgiveness one day, but when Claire had broken down, Nikki hadn't been able to bring herself to hug her granddaughter. Nikki told Jack she'd felt ashamed and upset, then she'd felt self-pity for being in the situation at all. Nikki explained that as soon as she'd left Claire's room, memories of the kidnapping had overwhelmed her, and that was the reason she had wanted a drink. Jack reassured Nikki that having called him had been a profoundly positive step, and he would be available to her, day or night. Nikki asked Jack to swear not to tell Victor anything. Jack agreed. Nikki thanked him, then planned to have her driver take her back to the ranch. At Victor's office, Victoria thanked Victor for their talk and for trusting her judgment. Victor confirmed that if things went well, he would accept Claire into the Newman family. Adam and Nick walked in and caught the end of that exchange. "Has Claire's situation changed? And what does accept her into the family mean, exactly?" Adam asked. "But out," was Victoria's reply. She told Adam that he had no right to ask questions, nor even have an opinion, since he knew almost nothing about Claire. Adam insisted he knew enough to be concerned for their father and for Victoria. Adam asked, "Is it that impossible that I would want to protect the family from outside harm?" And Victoria shot back, "Says the outsider who's always trying to claw his way back in." Adam conceded that he didn't know Claire, nor had he even met her, in fact. Nick told Adam, "Your concerns have been noted. Move on." Adam asked Nick if he was really okay welcoming a mentally ill felon into the family with open arms. Victoria stepped between them and said, "That's enough." Victor silenced them all and told his children that they were all going into it with their eyes wide open, one day at a time, and that the situation would not become contentious. Adam asked his father and sister what would happen if a rehabilitated Claire then tried to seek acceptance for a rehabilitated Jordan. "That is not going to happen."